Hey, Martin and Chelsea Matthews here, and we want to talk to you about the enemies of your wealth. This is something we're actually doing a workshop on this Friday for our Wealth Accelerators. Wealth Accelerator is a program where we custom design a financial strategy plan and help you implement all of the pieces by looking at your entire financial house. And there are enemies of your wealth that can absolutely stop your wealth, destroy your wealth, or just keep you stuck like in the same place. You know, if you feel like you're working really hard, but you're not really getting anywhere, or you go like a few steps forward and a few steps back, and you just can't seem to be like reaching those financial goals that you really want to hit. There could be some enemies keeping you from that.
Yeah, and have you ever felt like you're putting in some effort, you're putting in work, but it's not getting some of the results on your financial lines? Like you're like, hey, I've been trying to invest, but it's just not getting traction, or you're trying to do certain things, but it seems like things are working against you. So even if you're successful, because no matter how successful you are, there's always kind of a next level you're trying to get to. Every successful person I know has a next level they're trying to get to, because they've already gotten to where they're at. And they're trying to get to the next point and the next point and keep playing a newer and newer game, or what's the next game to play. So no matter where you are financially and whatever game you're playing, there's always that next thing you're trying to get to. And then if you ever run into a situation where you feel like, hey, I feel like some things are underlying working against me. There are enemies of your wealth. There are things that actively are working against you, that once you're aware of them, you can actually handle them pretty easily. So we're going to talk about that today.
Yeah, so put in the chat, what are some enemies of wealth that you think, what do you think are some enemies of wealth, and have you experienced any of them? Like, what do you think are some things that could stop you from building wealth, growing your wealth, expanding your wealth? A lot of times these things are things that you may not even be aware. You may not be aware that you're at risk. And so one of the things that we do in our Wealth Accelerator program is we help people to look at their entire financial picture. There's 6 building blocks that make up your financial house. And in the program, we actually look at 11 elements of your finances. And so it's very important to understand where you are in each one of these building blocks, and how each of these elements, how strong each of the elements in your finances are. So for example, somebody could not have enough cash flow, and so they could be put at risk. Or somebody could have not enough of the right types of life insurance. These are just some examples, but they're not necessarily the specific enemies that we're going to be going over in this workshop. But it is very important to be aware of, like, how strong is your financial house, and where are you at in each one of these areas, so that you know what needs to be plugged, like what holes or risks that there could be that could take you out. Like something unexpectedly happens. You're going along, things seem fine, you're paying for your lifestyle, you're going on vacations, you're doing this, you're doing that, things seem comfortable, and then something happens, turn in the economy, somebody gets sick or hurt, something happens, and you find out a little bit too late that you don't have some things in place that you need in place. So it's about looking at these different areas of your financial house. And yes, comfortability, that is very dangerous, because if you're not growing, you've probably heard the saying, if you're not growing, you're dying, because you can only go the same for so long. If you just look at like inflation, the cost of things and the value of the dollar, if you're making the same amount of money, well, you're eventually going to be going down, because that same amount of money that you're making can buy less things and is worth less. And so you have to constantly be increasing, growing, and expanding. And so being able to identify specifically the areas in your finances that you need to strengthen and that you need to protect will really help you build that foundation, and not just maintain where you're at, but grow and expand to the next level.
Yeah, so it's talking on there about fear and doubt are some of the things that barrier you, right? So whenever you have fear and doubt on the subject of money, you have to look at what is the person afraid of. or what are you specifically afraid of, what the person is dealing with. So I know people who are afraid of success, which means they're afraid that when they succeed, they will have so much more responsibility that they could wreck it. So they are afraid to succeed. So to that degree that they're operating out of fear, then they will run into problems. So another time, there's you'll see this with people when they invest. Sometimes people invest scared, which means they're uncertain. So they're like, "Hey, I don't know for sure, but I'm going to invest." Usually, we don't take on clients who are uncertain. We first want to make sure the person becomes certain in what they're doing, meaning they're sure about what they're doing. Because what happens is, in today's society, because a lot of people are not financially educated, and there's a reason for that. There's industries that want to keep you financially illiterate. So when you're financially illiterate, basically, then somebody shows up on the scene and then they go, "I'm an expert," and they try to make it seem like you don't know anything or you're not an expert. And one of the ways that's done is they use a lot of big words. So they'll say all these big words, all these different things, and that leads to more and more confusion. And so what happens is you think that because they use big words, they're learned or they're very knowledgeable. And because they're more knowledgeable than you should let them invest on your behalf, or you should just listen to whatever they say about investments. So now what ends up happening is a lot of times people end up investing, but they're investing scared, which means they'll put their money in a retirement account or an investment account, and they're scared that they could lose the money. First of all, if you're investing scared, that's never a way to go about doing it. Because what happens is, even when it goes right, you're going to be scared that something's about to go wrong. And then when something goes wrong, you'll be like, "See, I knew something was going to go wrong." You can't invest when you're scared. So it's like once you start having fear around around the subject of investing, that's one of the worst things that could happen in that area, is having fear on that subject.
So someone says terrified. Are you saying that you're terrified of something, or an enemy of wealth is being terrified? Let me know what you mean about that. Mm-hmm. And then for this workshop that we're going to be doing on Friday, the enemies of your wealth, discussing going kind of like deep diving, not kind of, but deep diving into the enemies of your wealth, how to protect yourself from them. And the way that you can participate in this workshop is two ways. One is we put this workshop on for our Wealth Accelerators. These are people in our Wealth Accelerator program, and it's for free for them. And so the other way, if you're in Wealth Accelerators, then it's accessible to you. And there's a whole platform that has all of our other workshops as well that you can access. If you're not in Wealth Accelerator, you can purchase a guest pass for $100, and that will give you access to the workshop and the recording. So if you'd like to deep dive with us into the enemies of your wealth and how to protect yourself from them, you can leave a comment. You can send us a message, and we'll get you the information on how to get a guest pass if you're not in our Wealth Accelerator program. So someone says, yes, terrified to invest, scared to lose, so won't try. So that is a really good point. And we have some actual policies, how to create your own policy for investment, so that you aren't scared. And basically it helps you to identify what you know and like, how to evaluate information when you're looking at an investment, and how to find things that match up and align with your risk tolerance, your goals, so that you know you're not putting money at risk that you don't or can't lose, and that it also is aligned with where you're trying to go. So that you can have confidence that you're doing the right action, that you're in the right investment, that you're making the right move for you and your financial house. So definitely you should hop on our workshop this Friday, Enemies of Your Wealth, and we can help to get you the information that you need in order to know what are the right moves for you in terms of investment. And sometimes investing isn't the right next move for somebody. Mm-hmm. Sometimes there's other things that need to be put in place, and that's where that fear may come from, because there's not things in place to where if that investment goes wrong, or maybe you're not aware of investments that don't go wrong, that have protections in place so that you don't lose your money. So it's about really getting the right information and knowing what is the right move for you in your financial house. So send me a message. I'll be happy to get you the information on how to get a guest pass to our workshop.
Yeah, and really quick, I'll wrap on this point that Chelsea was making about putting your money in things that not everything loses money. There are things that are protected from losing money. So if you're like, hey, I want to protect myself against losses, there's lots of things that can do that. So for example, I was talking to someone the other day, and a few years ago, they had made an investment decision, and then it went up, and then it went down, and they were a little bit scared about the whole thing. Now, here's the thing: if that person had come and met with us, and then actually like we implemented some of those pieces for them, they would have had $294,000 more than they have now. $294,000 more than they have now. And it's not even about the money. This is just in a few years. And then we show them on actual numbers. We're like, hey, this is the plan. This is if you would have followed this plan, this is where you would have been at. You just simply compare that to where you're at now. That's all you do. You compare, hey, this strategy would have had you here. You just compare to where you are now. And then if you see the difference, it's okay, it's a $200, almost $300,000 difference. Well, then that's a huge factor. So what does that mean for somebody like you if you're watching this? It means that sometimes you just need more education on the right things to do for you, and not follow what everybody else is doing or what everybody says to do or whatever is the popular thing to do. Just because something's popular doesn't make it right. There are lots of things that are popular. Coca-Cola is popular. It's freaking sugar water. Going to drink every night and going to the nightclub on the weekends and getting drunk and passing out, that's become popular. Does that mean that's the right action for you? No. Just because something's popular doesn't mean it's the right thing for you to do. It goes over in every area of your life. Your fitness, your finances, your spirituality, whatever it is. Just because something's popular doesn't mean it is right for you. And so once you start looking at what is the right thing specifically for you, then you know how to start handling all the different enemies of your wealth. And you can be like, well, you know what? I make this financial decision because of XYZ reason. Now you know why you make specific decisions, not because your job offered you a certain program or somebody told you it's a cool thing to do. So exactly. So, hey, Rodney, what's up, man? He says, love this take on life. Exactly. Whatever it is, doesn't matter what it is. Just because something's popular doesn't mean it is right for you. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good rest of your day.
Bye.